Slay, queen!
You know, it is a shame after nearly 3 years since our last Marvel vs. DC matchup, we're getting one that I am just about. So yeah, the next time, people, is Sentry versus Superboy Prime. I'm just gonna edit a little gif of
Bob versus Clark.
I have zero investment in either of these two, so it's mostly going to be a villain-mate discussion, folks. I apologize.
Oh, I'm apologizing because I'm probably going to be the biggest downer of this episode because, well, if it isn't obvious from my tone of voice, I don't care for these two. And it's a very biased reason behind it, but I'm going to bitch about it. So I will talk about the hype for what they could do with the fight itself, but talking about the characters,
I do have one question, but we'll touch on that when we talk about Superboy Prime. I think it's better to start off with Sentry, who's the most experience I've had was them talking about him fighting Hulk.
Yeah. Okay. So Sentry. Now, I wasn't too familiar with it. Similar to you, Sean, I was actually kind of a similar case where I'm like, the closest I ever heard about Sentry was the Hulk versus Doomsday, where he's basically Marvel's knockoff Superman. Which, trust me, people, Marvel have had a lot of those. And sadly, they are pale imitations of good old Superboy, or Superman, I should say. So, okay, Sentry's kind of an interesting character, because again, I was like, okay, I know of this character. In fact, funny enough, how the Marvel zombie stories actually started was because of Sentry, if you can believe that. It was basically a zombie sentry that went into the past who, accidentally infected the superheroes, and then he eventually went into the past again to try and stop it, but then he spread the zombie virus. Yeah, it's confusing there. Now, the original story of Sentry, he was I believe he started early 2000s, I believe. So he was meant to be, Marvel's attempt at creating their own Superman story, but, he had the whole mental health issues, that sort of thing. And generally speaking, he was also a bit of a horror character, where, given the Void and the story about that. And, yeah, generally speaking, a pretty simple story. Well, I say simple, but, kind of an interesting take on the whole Superman story, because when you think of quote-unquote evil Superman characters, you don't really see Homelander is oh, he's just a spoiled brat. Omni-Man is a soldier from basically Superman Kryptonian Nazis. But this story is kind of interesting. It tackles someone who was basically a drug addict, and he
a drug addict with a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, and he coincidentally went into a secret laboratory and found a golden serum. And boy, I'm in a science laboratory and I need drugs. Ooh, this glowing little lemonade looks good. Glug, glug, glug. Ah! Really cheesy sort of superhero origin sort of things. But generally, everything I was reading about the character, I was like, okay, I can kind of see the investment in this character. Kind of he had to overcome mental health issues, he was on drugs, and you know what? This was kind of like a chance to become a superhero, but then plot twist, he has a dark side of him, known as the Void. Void, I think, is the most interesting aspect of Sentry, both in comic books and the movie. I'll do a bit of glazing on the movie, because I think that's my favourite version of Sentry. But, generally speaking, I didn't understand, because I'm not sure if you guys know this, Sentry is a bit of a divided character amongst the comic book fans. Because while his origin's pretty cool and it's opened up the possibilities of, is he going to join the Avengers, that sort of thing. As the series has gone on, he kind of got the Wanda treatment where it turns out she's not actually a mutant, she's actually the vessel for this sort of thing, that sort of thing. I feel as though Wanda did it better though. Sentry is basically, how do I describe it? Have you guys ever read or seen fanfic sort of stories where someone just makes the most stupidly overpowered OC character and just has them fight all these characters that they could basically solo the verse because the writer wants it because it's his character. That sort of story.
I mean, from what I've been hearing, that sounds like Superboy Prime.
They're both it. They're both terrible in it. The Sentry is. I don't even know which one's worse. They're both equally terrible in my opinion. Like that's a like muscular like meme for me. Like Superboy Prime, Sentry, you're both shit. So yeah, like Sentry is pretty much like, you know how people always bitch at like either Superman or like Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate or Wonder, like the Deus Ex Machina. No, Sentry is the ultimate Deus Ex Machina in Marvel. Like, oh crap, we created a really overpowered villain that none of the Avengers, X-Men, or Guardians could defeat. It's like, Sentry! Like, throw Sentry! Like,
Sentry, I choose you!
He's literally the equivalent of like, oh, I tried to give my other Pokemon team a chance to be good, but they're shit. Let me send out my ace Pokemon. That is literally Sentry. Like, he is pretty much the, right, I need to fix this. Because...
Sentry is like sending out the action replay legendary that you generated.
Yeah, you know what? That is pretty much it. Like, as a personality, it's not too bad of a character, I will say, but it's that typical, like, I'm fighting my inner demon void thing, but that is literally his plot in most of the comic books. But he's also a bit of a snarky, overconfident prick. Like, there's literally a comic panel where they had to figure out how to stop Magneto, and Sentry's just in the corner going, you know, I could just level this entire island if you want me to. Like, again, many times when he's on screen talking, or I guess in comics, in panel, like, anytime he's just talking, he's just glazing how powerful he is. And I hate that in characters. I hate a character where they just glaze themselves and just, there's no substance behind it. Like, why are you bragging? Like, if it's like an overconfident character, like someone like Captain Marvel, Iron Man, you know, those sort of characters, like, yeah, it makes sense why they would brag about their abilities, because that's kind of their personalities. How their personalities clash so much, they had to see Civil War episode 2. It was terrible.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, seriously, if people thought the first Civil War story was bad, don't read Civil War 2. It is so stupid. But yeah, like, overall, I just don't think Sentry's that interesting of a character and stuff like that. Like, and that generally seems to be the, you know, thoughts about people and stuff like that. Like, he generally just feels like a Deus Ex Machina. Like, oh, like, we've put ourselves into a situation where we need a character to defeat this character because no other overpowered character could do it. Let's just send Sentry. Like, Sentry's the equivalent of a terribly written OC character, where they're just basically they can do anything, and the only time they lose is when, you know, it's some crazy overpowered reason to kill. Like, oh, I've been erased from existence, and then I just no-clip back into existence. You know, it's like, oh yeah, so exciting. Like, generally, whenever time Sentry dies in the comic books, from what I hear, they always say, yeah, just expect him to come back in like 2 comics.
Yeah, so I heard that not that long ago he was killed by Null, you know, the god of the symbiotes.
But
But
the guy had
he-
to do something.
But he
He's
came
been-
back. So I guess that death is null and void.
Just like the Sentry stories.
I'm
Actually,
proud of
to be
that.
fair, you should be. To be fair, Null had to do something. He's been kind of just sitting in his throne for the last few comic books. Cool character. He just
No,
really
you wanna hear,
likes his
like-
chair.
Do you want to hear the in-canon reason to why Sentry stayed dead for as long as he did?
Because he felt like it.
He was comfortable.
Yeah. It's
Basically just like, I'm gonna put my feet up for a while.
Yep. Such an exciting character. Aren't you guys excited for the next Sentry story? I sure am. I think this is probably the most
I'm excited
negative...
for the movie.
Yeah, I will say, this is probably the most negative bit about a comic character. But you know, before we start talking about the powers of these characters as well as Superboy Prime, because oh boy, I have things to say about him. Just you wait.
I've been told a whole bunch of things about Superboy Prime, and I have
before
kind
we
of a summarization. I want to know if this is accurate.
Then I will get back to Sentry.
Take a fanboy who is obsessed with DC Comics and really into versus debating, and make them Superman, while also giving them some level of control of what happened in the comics.
No.
Is that right?
No, it's much worse. Trust me.
Oh no.
Yeah, but yeah, well, back to Sentry though, because I want to kind of end talking about Sentry in a positive way though. The best adaptation I've ever seen of Sentry though is the MCU. Which, the reason I'm saying this as well, because this surprised me, it was from Thunderbolts. Now, I want to give some story about Thunderbolts, because I bet there's some people like, what was Thunderbolts? Yeah, the MCU tried to advertise basically their version of the Suicide Squad. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have John Cena, which is unfortunate. But, yeah, so Thunderbolts had an unfortunate sort of, like, advertisement. Because if you saw the advertisement before the film came out, it was absolutely dog. It was so cringe. It was like, if you were to watch the trailers, then watch the movie, you're getting two different movies, almost. Like, the trailers try to look like action-packed friends are just going around, cruising, and stuff like that. Then you actually get to the film, where they have this character called Bob, who's, you know, it's a very serious and very gritty movie. There's still some comedic moments, of course. It's still a Marvel film, after all. But generally, Sentry's introduction into the MCU is really good. Now, they've kind of altered his story a little bit, where he's one of the many super soldiers that now exists in the MCU. Because apparently they just had a lot of that Captain America juice. Yeah, so when Sentry's introduced, I feel as though he's an overpowered character still. Because he's meant to basically be like, as described by one of the characters, like all the Avengers in one. And Sentry's kind of interested in the movie. He doesn't actually want to fight any of the Thunderbolts. Because he generally likes them. They've all suffered, like... Let's be real, all the characters that have been in the Thunderbolts team, they've had a bit of a... unfortunate life. I mean, Taskmaster, he was just... Well, she was just basically a version of Taskmaster, so she suffered already.
She's not in the film that long.
Nah, she really isn't. I was so close to applauding when I saw that.
I was like genuinely shocked, and I was like, "Oh right, this is Marvel. They change their trailers all the time."
Yeah.
Because as I've seen like later in the movie, they have Taskmaster there.
Yeah. Well, apparently she was originally meant to have a bigger role, but I'm not sure whether this is true or not. I'm willing to believe it is, but I'm skeptical. She was meant to have an entirely like she was meant to be more involved, and then Thunderbolts went through a lot of rewrites. Originally, Abomination was meant to be involved as well, but he was too expensive because he was going to be CGI most of the time. So yeah, they had to change up the cast a lot. Sentry, one of my favorite fights from this movie is Sentry just trying to not hurt the Thunderbolts, and he's just trying to push them away. Like, he bends like, I can't remember, what's his name again? The new Captain America.
Walker.
Yeah. Like, he bends his shield so effortlessly, which, keep in mind, his shield is made from a similar material, vibranium.
He made it look like a taco shell.
I always thought that when he did that, I was like, ooh, taco shield. And even Yelena, when she tries to stab him in the neck and it doesn't work. Oh, no, was it her that tried it? I think it was a Red Guardian.
Yeah, it was Red Guardian. Yelena was trying to use the Widow's Bite to shock him.
Yeah, like, I generally, like, he's trying to not hurt it to the best of his abilities, but, you know, they're trying to stop him and it's just not working. And then, you know, he gets the brain explosion treatment, and Jesus Christ, the Void. Holy crap, the Void, when he appears, I'm like, I'm sorry, the trailers did not make this seem as horrifying as it is.
Yeah, like, just poof. Like, you're now just a shadow on the ground.
Yeah, and even just his dialogue speaking, like, how the hell did such a small, like, he's literally just a silhouette with glowing eyes. Yet that is enough to be like, wow, this guy has to be the scariest villain that the MCU has ever introduced. Even just his own, like, why do you try? Like, Like, because in the Void in the comic books is kind of that whole edgy, yeah, blood, destroy, destruction. And it's like, yeah, you know, typical angsty sort of like of evil half. Whereas it kind of feels that the Void's also something that's suffering mentally and stuff like that. And then, generally, this is one of the most emotional moments for me when watching this film. The moment when they're in Bob's mind, and that, like, Bob is just wailing on the Void, he's having a mental breakdown because he can't stand this part of him, and all the Thunderbolts all comfort him. They all gather around, and he's crying. You know, it's like, you're not alone, and everyone's running to him and hugging him. It's like, again, I was like, I am so sad this movie did not do well at the box office, because holy hell, this was such a good movie. And this adaptation of Sentry, I was like, I want this Sentry in the comic books. This Sentry right here is great. I want him. Not in that way. I'm taken.
I'm not gonna lie, Bob and Yelena in the movie, I ship it.
They generally carry the movie. She was a character I did not give a damn about. I was like, oh yeah, she's that Black Widow character in the movie. And then she's just slowly becoming one of my favourite characters, like... And her and, like, Red Guardian... Again, even Red Guardian, perhaps one of the worst aspects from Black Widow movie, he gets some really good emotional moments in this film. It's like...
No, they made him a lot better in that movie.
I was just like, I'm sorry, why did the trailers make this seem like it's trying to basically be Suicide Squad meets Guardians of the Galaxy? It's like, this movie's dark, it's great, the fight choreography's really good. Like, I can understand they didn't want to show too much of Sentry and the Void and stuff like that, but it's like, you could have shown a little bit more of the darker things, like, you know. But yeah, regardless though, like, I generally love that version of Sentry. I was like, and I kind of hope we kind of have a bit more, I know they're not going to, so they're going to focus more on the comic side of things, but I really want them to focus on the Sentry stuff from that. But yeah, that's ended that segment, so I guess we have to talk about Superboy Prime. People, there's a reason why his latest comic book is in 2019.
So,
Sean, I need to ask, have you ever heard the phrase, I'll kill you to death?
I've heard it once before, actually. Why?
It comes from Superboy Prime.
And here I thought getting Fridge was the weirdest thing DC could do.
Fun fact, actually, they did reference that in Wonder Woman vs. Thor, where Thor says that when he goes into his rage moment.
I mean, he said, I'll kill you dead.
Same diff, look at these. Anyway, okay, yeah, so I'm going to...
The name Superboy Prime, does that mean there's more than one of these kinds of characters, or it's just like, what the f*** is this deal?
Okay, this is gonna go...
I had his origin, like, explained to me by Richard, and there's, like, a whole bunch of Supermen from, like, different universes, and I'm just like... Oh, dear God.
Yeah, I'll try and summarize the story. So, basically, Superman Prime is at least in the original concept, he's meant to basically be from our universe, the Prime universe, you know. Because, you know, DC has, like, Earth 1, Earth 2. It might surprise you, Earth 1 is the mainline DC universe. So, yeah, Earth Prime is basically meant to be our reality. And, you know, there's this guy who's really into, like, these comic book characters and stuff like that. And he realizes he might actually be a comic book character himself. It's like, bloody hell, like, I've heard of meta, but this is like, I don't know, two-way meta? And also his universe got kablooey. But he managed to survive because he managed to gain the powers of Superman, basically, through his love of comic books.
What?
Yeah, there's a bit more to it and stuff like that, but then I will admit, you know what? I've given Sentry a bit more positive, so I'll kind of start this off with a little bit positive when talking about Superboy Prime. At the start of his story, he seems like an interesting version of Superman. He's a character whose universe gets completely obliterated. In fact, his name's also Clark Kent as well, because his parents thought that would be quite sweet, because he's a big fan of Superman. And unlike Superman, though, his whole universe got destroyed by the Anti-Monitor, which I don't know if Death Battle have ever brought him up completely, but
I'm
Okay,
pretty
you know,
sure they've at least mentioned him.
yeah. So you know how they kind of spoke about how Trigon is the baddest mofo in all of DC? Yeah, he is pancakes when you compare the Anti-Monitor. He's basically Galactus times 50. Like, this guy's literal existence is just to destroy the multiverse. And he could literally power up his Anti-Monitor sort of powers by absorbing powers from other destroyed universes. And then he can fire basically universe obliterating powers. So he basically has to destroy a universe to then destroy another universe. It's like, okay, chill the F out. Unfortunately, Superboy's Prime universe was one of those universes. But he did survive, and, you know, with Superman, you know, he lost his whole planet, but he still had, like, other people out there that would look after him, that would nurture him, and, you know, he would eventually discover there are other Kryptonians out there. Superboy doesn't have that. Everything is dead. No super dog, no super cousin, no Superman on a motorcycle, not even a big old busty power girl. But he eventually discovers, hey, the DC Earth 1 universe, and they team up to defeat the Anti-Monitor, which, you know, the original Superman punched so hard it basically rebooted the DC universe, which they kind of covered in Goku vs. Superman. So, you know, at first hand, that actually sounds like a pretty cool origin story to basically a new version of Superman, right? And then they decided to turn him into a villain. So, how Superboy is Prime? So, at one point, like, you know, he went a bit crazy and stuff like that, because, you know, surprisingly, someone who's kind of still grieving the loss of his universe would go a little bit cuckoo. And so, he would try and, like, basically fix, quote unquote, the current state of the universe. In a way, this is DC's excuse to rewrite the universe again. So, he would punch the barriers between reality to... You've all seen that iconic image, like with Superboy Prime punching as all those shattered universes and stuff like that.
I mean, that's how they introduced it in the Next Time trailer.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's like, oh, how was Jason back? Oh, it was because he punched the universe. Like, oh, Zatina's back. Oh, that's because of that whole thing. Like, the Green Lanterns are back. You know, that sort of thing. Like, yeah, that was him. All because he punched reality. Sean, and mate, I'm not sure if you... I'm assuming if you spoke to him, he's probably told this already. Do you want to know what that punch was called, Sean? This is a canon name, by the way.
Is it called the Retcon Punch?
Okay, you actually did know it. Yes, it's literally by definition...
I guess!
Well, you guessed it. Congratulations. I will give you a soundboard appreciation. Which one?
Wait a minute. Don't you fucking dare.
Trying to figure which one to give you. This one will do. Yeah, that one will do.
Okay, good.
Well, you thought I was going to do the Bamford one, didn't you?
Yes!
No. I save those for the special occasions. But yeah, literally that punches the retcon punch. That's the canon name for it. That's the canon name for it. Eventually he was, you know, because surprisingly he had so much power, the Justice League and all that would seal him in, similar to Doomsday, they sealed him in the outside of time and space area. Seriously, again, like, it's like, you guys just have this technology, can you not just lock all your villains in there? But guess what? He decided, I'm going to punch out of that as well. Like, Superboy Prime, he just punches out of things. Like, that's literally his gimmick. Now, I will admit, I did have a look at some of his comic book stories. Like, you know, he's had occasional good ones, like, what was it called? I think it's called the Sinestro Corp. Where, you know, he joins, like, Sinestro and stuff like that. But he also occasionally joins the Justice League. He was also involved in the Infinite Crisis universe, which, you know, that was the thing that kind of got his universe obliterated, which, sorry, mate. You know, a lot of universes kind of got obliterated in that universe. Yeah, I just got on my notes here. The Sinestro Corp Wars, that was it. So, you know, there are some actually generally good stories in that. I'd definitely recommend some of those. But yeah, so his whole character is like, you know, it's similar to Sentry, like, interesting concept, you know, like, he's a character who, I mean, compared to Sentry, like, I feel as though Superboy Prime definitely lost a lot more. Like, you know, your whole universe being obliterated, you get a chance in this new universe, and then it's like, wow, you guys have done even worse in this universe. I'm gonna rebuild it and stuff like that because I'm Superman, Superboy, yeah, that sort of thing. And similar to my issues with Sentry, he is literally that annoying OC character where, again, whatever you do to him, he can just say no. And I hate characters like that. I hate characters who basically you could just say no to. Like, I haven't watched Gurren Lagann yet, so I don't know whether Simona's like that, but at least Simone actually showed, at least in a death battle, it does seem as though in all his fights, though, he generally feels as though he's taken damage and he's fighting for his life. Superboy Prime never looks like that. Hell, he literally solos pre-Crisis Superman, New 52 Superman, every Superman you can think of, and the Justice League. I don't think I can recall him ever losing a fight, and that's what really annoys me. When you make a character who's just there to be perfect, and not in like, oh, a positive, like, he's meant to inspire you to do good. No, he's just a dick, and he's boring.
Yeah, you know what? You know what's worse?
Yeah?
He knows of a versus debating shit. Like, here's a panel I was sent.
I'm just on OBS. Okay, I'm not even familiar with that, but hold on, let me just read this.
If I remember the context right, it was like they were basically doing a tournament of power, like in Dragon Ball Super.
Oh my god, that has to be fake. Like, come on, that has to be what when Death Battle used to do those fake comic panels just to see if they could guess if it's real or not. Like, I'm not sure if you guys know, there's like this famous one where this random police officer goes, "I have no arms," and Green Lantern punches him. It was fake, but Chad was like, I really want it to be real, but I don't believe it is. Like, this has to be another fake one, right? Is there little crops I could see? Like, could I see, like, is there a little bit of white hitting the sides?
No.
That is actually a oh my, I don't know what it is, but whenever a media actually acknowledges power scalers, I cringe. Because, frankly, the term power scalers is just so cringe. Imagine going up to someone in a bar and being like, "Hey, baby, I'm a power scaler." Like, ugh, just shut the f*** up. Like, oh my god, like, this generally is making me cringe. I want to delete it. In fact, I'm going to give it, what's one of our emojis we give it? It's getting a dead Steve the Elephant treatment. No, you keep that there. This will be a reminder to those that post cringe.
I'm also at a Lian face palming.
Yeah, I'll even add to that. Like, again, I hate this. Like, okay, I will say with Sentry at least he got a pretty good live-action movie that somewhat redeemed my love for the character. This, though, is like, I'm overpowered, I could do that, but I don't want to. Like, again, this is the equivalent of, like, what's the best way to sum it up? I guess, like, to try and get more Sean involved in this, imagine someone playing D&D that chooses the most broken, like, what's it called again? Like, when you kind of go with, like, non-canonical D&D stuff, the,
Homebrew?
Homebrew, yeah. Imagine someone going for, like, the most broken homebrew stuff where they can basically just solo every boss. That is Superboy Prime. Because, as far as I know, touch wood, I'm hoping this has happened, I don't recall when he's actually gotten his ass... I really don't know whether he's gotten his ass handed. Like, he's probably been punched in the face by a character. Like, I mean, he's definitely had a few moments like that in Sinestro Wars. But I don't know whether I've actually seen this guy, like, just, put in his place. Like, again, people, if you can actually link me to some of those comic books where I can enjoy, like, please do. Yeah, like, I just generally don't like Superboy Prime. Like, I think he's, without a doubt, and this even includes in a world with the Injustice Superman, this guy's the worst version of Superman. I know technically he's not really, like, Clark Kent and stuff like that, but to me, he's, like, the worst irritation of Superman. Like, just... Like, you know how people say, like, oh, Superman's just an overpowered character, he's boring. No, f*** you. You know what? Kindly. You know what? Superman actually has struggles. At least
Superman... Yeah, he has the whole moral thing. Like, that's what you read him for.
Like, spoiler alert...
This guy don't have that.
like, spoilers to the Superman movie by James Gunn, you should definitely watch it. There's literally a scene when Superman is weakened by kryptonite poison. He's in an antimatter pool, trying to keep a baby above it so it doesn't fall in. He's about to go into a black hole, but he uses the last of his strength to save the baby, the dad, and his dog. That is Superman. That is a character who's struggling, who has literally the odds against him, and he still comes through, and you root for him. Superboy is just like, man, I could just do that. Just kindly, Superboy, go f*** yourself.
Actually, no, you know what he would do if he was in that movie? Like, those people would die, and he'd be like, retcon punch, they live.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at least when Sentry retcons his universe, it's kind of in a way to, like, oh, change the character's perspective on, like, reality. Like, it's basically Marvel's way. You know how, like, they don't go through the whole universe reboot sort of thing? They kind of just, like, move them like, oh, we were always in the 21st century. You know, that's kind of like Sentry's role, as well as other characters, but Sentry's also kind of done that.
Does this work as a transition to...
Yeah, let's actually...
Who the hell wins?
Yeah, let's actually talk about this. Okay, but, well, this actually goes into something that I'm not looking forward to because, oh my god. Alright, let's talk about their powers, actually, before I go with who I say wins. So...
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. Sentry's powers, yes.
Yeah,
But
pretty
what powers does he have? Yes.
It does pretty much these characters. Just, they both have heat vision, they both have telepathic powers, they both can basically no to damage, they both can... I mean, Sentry doesn't really have a retcon punch, but he can, in a way, change continuity through the powers through the void and stuff like that.
Here's something I heard. I heard this in, like, a podcast episode. At one point, when Sentry basically made the universe forget about him, that included his creator.
I was not familiar with that one.
As in his comic book creator.
Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I didn't actually know that.
And somehow, like, because this is a prequel comic, that means Sentry, like, was able to manipulate his own creator, who create him after he retconned himself.
That is actually pretty baller. I like that.
So, that makes me wonder, does that mean he might be able to resist the retcon punch?
I would say yes, absolutely. Except the retcon punch is basically whatever Superboy Prime wants it to do. Because as much as Sentry kind of has the whole, like, he has his own version of, like, retconning and stuff like that, he can still be, like, stopped, or he can still be hurt by other powerful beings. I mean, hell, him and the Hulk pretty much had a free-for-all punch, and even though you probably only guys have only seen when, you know, Hulk turns back into Bruce, Sentry was also knackered from that fight. Now, obviously, that was years ago. Who knows? Maybe Sentry's gotten some buffs over time, which I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, here's the thing I also want to go to as well, because this is something I'm already just getting out of the way. If we just go by strength, speed, and even combat skills, I have to give that to Superboy Prime, because he could... Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know whether he's like a skilled martial artist. Forget I said fighting good. Strength, though, and speed, I honestly have a
unique well, I say unique take. I think this is just what Death Battle does sometimes with, like, Marvel and DC, like, high tiers. So they can both contend with beings who are, like, you know, beyond, like, being able to destroy universes or possibly even the multiverse. Like, Sentry can fight the likes of Hulk and Thor. I was also told that he fought Galactus to a standstill at one point, and we know how powerful he is.
I don't really look that up, so I would...
And, you know, Superboy Prime, like, well, he's borderline Superman.
I will say this, Superman would definitely be able to handle Sentry. Oh, okay then. So I looked this up, mate. So he did say he fought him to a standstill, but that's never directly shown. That's an off-screen event that happens. So that's kind of lame. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that. I want to look that up. And then I looked on Google and it was like, oh, that was an off-screen thing. I'm like, oh, that's lame. Come on, man. We've seen the Four fight Galactus. We've seen the Fantastic Four. Give me Galactus and Sentry. Like, I don't care about the characters.
I mean,
themselves.
we see him like
It'd be cool.
contend with Hulk and Thor enough times, so I think we can buy that.
Yeah, that's fair enough, actually. Anyway, yeah, sorry, go on.
Because of like their ludicrous power and how they basically have like incalculable speeds, like in combat and whatnot, and I've also looked up the okay, this is gonna sound stupid. Each of Sentry's atoms are moved an instant ahead of the current timeline.
What?
I'm looking this up on a respect thread. But for some reason, the link it sends me to, content not available because it's not available in your region.
Damn you, Keir Starmer! Yeah, a lot of websites are kind of banned in the UK because of, laws. We can't even look at Rule 34 anymore. I can't do the funnies.
And at one point, he flew so fast, he bent time and space.
On one hand, that is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I say, like, that's incalculable speed, so, like, stats are going to be kind of a non-factor, and it's going to come down to, like, abilities and hacks.
I would agree with that.
Kind of like with Black Adam Apocalypse.
Yeah, I would agree with that, except we've actually seen Sentry get physically overpowered a lot of times and even outsped by characters. Heck, even the Hulk's managed to almost outspeed him on occasions. And thanks to Godzilla vs. Hulk, we know how fast he is.
Well, I think what Mate means is that, like, if Death Battle's going to take them at their best, and at their best, it's incalculable and immeasurable.
I suppose that is true. It's just the fact, like, obviously, Superboy Prime being able to defeat almost every version of Superman. That includes pre-Crisis, who broke the bonds of infinity. It's like broke the bonds of, like, speed. It's like, yeah, like, I would give speed to Superboy Prime. And the other thing about Sentry as well, like, while he is powerful, I don't recall him being a skilled fighter. He just heavily relied on him, like, being so powerful, very few can challenge him. Superboy Prime does show a few, like, Kryptonian sort of, like, reflexes and stuff like that. In fact, thanks to his Kryptonian genes, because, he's now part Kryptonian. He can basically resist any reality warping powers that the Void can do. He can avoid mental attacks, his soul being ripped out. He can even survive, like he can even separate souls from people. So I feel like he could just remove the Void from, like, Sentry. So, and which that has killed Sentry in the past. So it's like, it's kind of like the Spawn versus Ghost Rider thing where, Spawn has a way of manipulating the soul to basically leave Johnny without Seraphos. I don't think the retcon punch is going to immediately kill Sentry like many people are saying. Like, oh, just one punch from that, he's dead. It's like, well, no, like, Sentry's going to be able to tank a few hits from that.
I also just think if the fight and debate literally just comes down to retcon punch, he wins. Like, that's just boring.
I mean, these two are boring characters, so at the end of the day, I'm just hoping for a good fight. So let's actually kind of bring it to a bit of positives before we talk about who we think is going to win.
I actually have this idea for okay, hypothetically, let's say Sentry wins. Hypothetically. Alright, and Superboy Prime is aware that he's a comic book character, and basically he's aware of the medium, and I've seen people say, oh, what if he interrupts the analysis like Deadpool? I have a happy medium. So let's say during his analysis, they bring up a feat, and they say, oh, it's like millions of times, like, whatever. But then suddenly it shifts, and we hear the line go like, he did this, which is billions of times faster than whatever. And then when we get to Sentry's analysis, it happens the same, but lower.
Ah, so like both, like they're kind of being threatened, that sort of thing.
And then we get to the fight, and when the Void comes out and Superboy Prime is trapped in it, he's shown like a bunch of stuff he did, and in the background, if you look, you can see him using the retcon punch on the analysis.
That would actually be kind of baller. Like, he used his own retcon punch against him.
Yeah. No, the idea is he tried to use the retcon punch, to make him win the episode.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he basically sabotaged. I will admit, that does sound really cool, and in character, I'm worried that fanboys will be like, wow, that shows bias. They just had him just erase his analysis. I mean, given the fact these two are just basically no-you characters. Like, if people thought Green Lanterns were no-you characters, these guys are the pure definition of no-you.
Yeah. Also, for my idea, I'm saying like, Wiz and Boomstick, don't call that out. Just have it be an Easter egg in the fight.
That actually does sound pretty cool. In terms of what else I kind of want to... I'm not sure what the art style is going to be. This feels like it could probably be easier to do in a sprite form. Because as far as I know,
I
these
feel like
guys...
it has to be sprites.
I mean, these guys do have 3D models, but it's on mobile games, which
Just had 2 back to back.
yeah. I mean, I'm not against having 2 3D fights, but... Or more 3D fights, but there's something I do kind of want them to do, even if it's brief, similar to like Popeye versus Saitama. Can we have just moments where they change art styles, like when they do the retcon punch collide, and like they're in like different like art styles?
Oh, what if they use the Recon Punch and they go to other episodes?
Oh, they like change the outcome of Death Battles, like because Death Battle have done like this series where they like talk about like death battles they don't agree with. The retcon, every time they clash it changes the outcome. Like, that would actually be pretty funny. I'm like, do you know what? The retcon punch was definitely worth it just for this. Gara versus Toph, like, change. Yang versus Tifa, change. What was another one they disagree with? Sephiroth versus Virgil, change. Like, that sort of thing. Maybe not for every single one, but maybe they're more like popular ones. Like that, I can actually see that being pretty funny. In terms of the death, like, the only thing I can say whether either one of them wins, it has to end with somehow the other one being, like, there's nothing left of them. Because obviously you can't just physically hurt these guys. Because, again, they both have...
Yeah, I mean...
Like, they can just...
I mean, Sentry has been
damage.
atomized before and he just came back.
Yeah. There is the argument people have similar to, like, the Phoenix, though, like... Sentry does take a long time to come back, which I'm like, well, he takes, like, at most, like, a month. Or basically when the writers feel like bringing him back. So it's like...
Yeah, but that's only because he just comes back when he feels like it.
Yeah. You could make an argument, though, similar to like how like Obito beat Darth Vader, where Vader wanted to die because he was reunited with Padme. You could argue maybe Sentry will be in that similar way, where he doesn't want the Void to take over, so he'll allow himself to lose. But Sentry, please don't go out to this guy. There's so many characters you could give yourself to. Go out to the actual Superman. Because you would still lose to him, but at least you're going out to someone who, you know, is a badass.
Actually, there's something I found out not that long ago. Did you guys know at one point Sentry and the Void, like, merged?
Yeah. That's literally what happens in the start of Sentry's story.
Yeah, it looks like this.
Oh, you're talking about when like the Void fully takes control and stuff like that. Yeah. I thought you were talking about like...
No, I think that's like when they like start working together.
That looked like a new 52 Shazam.
He does. Do you
know what kind of does?
It looks like absolute Shazam, actually.
Either works.
Yeah.
I mean, it still looks cool.
I honestly don't hate Sentry's design. I also just don't love it either. Oh, this is the other thing that I would actually give Superboy Prime. I was just going through my notes now. Yeah, he technically can't be weakened. Like, kryptonite, magic, even a red sun doesn't work. Either A, because, you know, he's just that guy, and his suit is also a built-in, like, yellow sun. So, yeah, he basically has unlimited stuff. But given the fact he can do all these things without the suit, I don't think it really matters. Plus, I don't think the Void's going to know that he needs a red sun to weaken him. Especially since, oh, guess what? Superboy can't have his mind read. Wow, what a shock. It's just basically, oh, what's his weakness?
There is...
Oh, it's blank, exactly.
There is a power I saw that Sentry has where I thought, oh, you know what, this ending could be kind of cool, because he can like, manipulate molecules. Like, he even went up against someone called Molecule Man or Molecular Man, like one of the two. Like, that's his whole thing, and he just outdid him at that. So I was thinking to myself, could he just turn Superboy Prime human, and therefore like all of his Kryptonian stuff is just taken away? Apparently Superboy Prime has resisted that before.
Yeah, literally the anti-monitor, like the start of his story. So it's like he literally his whole power gimmick is antimatter and stuff like that, and disintegrate you down to your molecular level. So it's like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, no, that's not quite the same thing. Like that's just like destroying him. This is like changing his like molecular makeup.
Okay, mate, to actually change, to destroy your like atom's molecular structure, that requires altering it. Like, if you got shot by a gun, that's not damaging your atoms or molecular structure because your atoms are still connected. It's literally like to tear apart atoms, you literally have to tear them atom by atom. So an anti-monitor, or basically antimatter, does that. So like, if your arm got hit by antimatter, that's not growing back. That's gone. Like if you lost your arm to,
Yeah, I'm fully aware.
yeah, so that's why, like, so literally anti-monitor's thing is a whole beam of antimatter. So it's like, yeah, like that's what kind of sucks about this. Like, I mean, to be fair, like I'm just gonna say I'm not rooting for either, but I'm still gonna obviously watch the death battle because, I mean, I do a podcast about it, so I kind of have to.
I mean, I'm rooting for
I'm
Sentry
obligated.
just because of like familiarity.
Yeah, I guess we've talked about what we want in the death battle. Like, I could see this being a really stylized death battle. Like, regardless of my opinions on these characters, I've watched death battles before with characters I don't like, and they have pretty fire death battles. I've also watched death battles with two characters I really like, and it turns out terrible. Martian Manhunter, Silver Surfer. Sorry, I had to in my throat. Also, isn't that kind
Bless
of
you.
also isn't it kind of crazy that literally the last Marvel vs DC fight was like nearly 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What a wild time it was.
before the Dark Ages, before the Void. Right, so my final thoughts. I'm still somewhat trying to look at it as in a positive light. I want this to be... I mean, I can already picture the voice acting being really good. I mean, we've had some pretty good voice acting so far. And I can see it's being very stylized. So my opinion on who I'm going for, or basically who I think is going to win, but let's be real here, I don't care whether I'm right or wrong about this. If I'm wrong, yay, the character I didn't like lost. Oh, the character I do like won. Or I dislike won. So it's a lose-lose situation for me. I'm not winning anything, but it's a win-lose situation. Comment you.
Valen.
Yeah. Basically, I'm not winning or winning anything. Winning or losing anything. I'm going for Superboy Prime. I just feel as though like he's gonna be out. Like personally, I feel as though if regular Superman could beat Sentry, I feel as though like someone who's even more powerful than Superman is definitely going to be able to win.
Yeah, I remember like the Death Battle cast. They did Superman versus Sentry as like an episode, and I can't remember what result they came to.
Let's just hope it didn't get the Cinder and Azula treatment. But yeah, so mate, who are you going for? Well, I know who you're rooting for familiarity, but from everything you know about these two characters and what we've discussed, who are you going for?
Okay, so it's not like a one-sided matchup, I think, because I know a lot of people are saying that.
I wouldn't say it's one-sided, but I think the winner is more likely. There you go, we said that about Black Adam versus Apocalypse, and look how that happened.
Yeah, who knows? It might happen here. Yeah, I still think, strength and speed are probably going to be considered equal, because also, like, whenever they talk about, like, the cosmology of Marvel and DC, they say they're pretty much, like, borderline the same with, like, a few minor differences here and there. So, yeah, that's another thing that I think is going to, back up the whole stats being equal. So it's not, like, they're going to say the victor can't be determined by strength and speed alone. So, it all just comes down to abilities, and these two can basically just do whatever they like. Like, they can both warp reality, they've resisted warping reality, like, Sentry and Void have, like, Doctor Strange magic, they've beaten Doctor Strange, and resist reality warping from Wanda. And if Sentry can survive the Retcon Punch, I don't know how these two can kill the other. But I've also been hearing that, if anything, Superboy Prime is just the safer bet. So, yeah, I'm gonna give my bet to Superboy Prime, but root for Sentry.
Alrighty then, Shawnee, from everything you've heard, what do you reckon?
I reckon this is going to be a victory for Superboy Prime. Because it just sounds like that, even though they could do pretty much anything that the other can do, it sounds like just Sentry himself has resisted retconning, not the Void, so...
Yeah.
I think Superboy Prime will take it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, regardless of my opinion about these two characters, who knows? Maybe in future comic book installments that maybe they'll have their own retcon. Maybe Superboy Prime will become a cool character. Maybe James Gunn will look at him and be like, I can fix him. And he actually makes him a really cool character. I mean, if the MCU can make Sentry really like, in my opinion, like, people, I want to be clear about this. I am sorry if you do like these characters and stuff like that. Do be aware, though, not every character we're going to discuss we like. As much as we want to try and be positive on them, if we can't, we can't. No, I'm sorry. It's just how our brains are wired. But if you like these characters and you're really hoping your guy wins, you know what? I'm rooting for them regardless. For you, anyway. Not for me. I couldn't give a toss. Do you guys have any final says before we move to our third topic?
I do not. It's a prime example of a matchup that hopefully will make us more interested in the character.